the Stanley Cup playoffs yesterday. If you haven't seen that, check that out. Today we're doing round one of the NBA playoffs. The play-in tournament is over. Play-in's over. I didn't really want to cover the play-in. So, I have my matchup notes. You're gonna have a hard time seeing it there, but we'll start with the West. These are my notes for the West, and then we'll do the East, just like we did in the NHL. Right off the jump, we're going to start the matchup of the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the New Orleans Pelicans. In their last 10 games, the Thunder went 7-3, and the Pelicans split it 5-5. The Thunder ended their season on a 5-game win streak, and on top of that, they've had 6 days of rest, whereas the Pelicans have just played back-to-back play-in games. They lost to the Lakers, and then they beat the Kings, kind of shockingly. I was not expecting them to beat the Kings, especially with Zion Williamson out hurt. But they did. Their reward is a date with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, sometimes the 6 days of rest, I would consider that potentially a disadvantage, but in this situation, in round 1, I don't think it will be. Maybe, as the rounds get deeper, it'll be more of a disadvantage, but at this point, I don't think it really plays a role. The Thunder have both a top 5 offense and top 5 defense, and honestly, they're pretty well-rounded as a team. The only real deficit I can see in their rosters, they have a bit of a lack of physicality. But aside that, I think they're a very good team. Obviously, they're the 1 seed for a reason, and I think they have the best player easily in this series in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now on the New Orleans Pelicans side, Zion Williamson's out, like I already mentioned. Brandon Ingram is playing, but he's coming back from injury, right? So you never know how that's going to hold up over the term of a season, or excuse me, the term of a series. And also, CJ McCollum has had back-to-back bad games. I think single-digit games for him in both the play-in games. And, it's like that Sacramento Kings team is, like Sacramento Kings are good, but he couldn't even get 10 points against them, right? Especially with Zion Williamson out, it's like, CJ, you gotta be doing a bit more there, buddy. So this one, I'm gonna give it to the Thunder. My only question if it's gonna be 4 or 5 games. I'll go 4 games. The Thunder take it. The next matchup is the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Dallas Mavericks. In their last 10 games, Los Angeles Clippers went 6-4, and the Dallas Mavericks went 7-3. Now, early in the season, going into the All-Star break, I said that the Clippers were one of my picks to go to the Western Conference Final if they're healthy. I thought that they were one of, if not the best, perimeter defending teams in the entire league, but coming into these playoffs and a fear with this Clippers team, they don't appear to be healthy. Kawhi Leonard has yet to play a game in April with his knee injury. According to team sources, he's gotten some shots in his knee or something like that. They're expecting him to play game 1, but you never know. And also, Harden has been dealing with some lingering foot issues as well, even though it hasn't stopped him from playing. But on the other hand, the Dallas Mavericks, they have been a league best 12-3 over their last 15 games. And, the Luka-Kyrie Irving combination is starting to look very potent. Both thing with Dallas is, and I never thought I'd be saying this about a team headlined by Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, but after the deadline, their defense has been amazing. That has been what's been carrying them. Like I said, on this league best 12-3 streak, they're getting a lot of good defensive stops. The players have bought into the defensive system. And although this Los Angeles Clippers team is very good, like I said, this Dallas team is not reliant on three-point scoring offense. They obviously have good three-point shooters on this team, but they also have two guys that are elite at getting to the basket, elite at shooting mid-range. So I think, given all those factors, I'm going to give this to Dallas. I think, I'll take Dallas in 6 games. Dallas in 6 games. Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Phoenix Suns is our next matchup here in the West. In their last 10 games, Minnesota went 6-4, and Phoenix went 7-3. And honestly, the position both these teams are in, with their assets, their offseason moves, the way they're positioned financially, both these teams are going to be getting to the second apron luxury tax next season regardless. So they're going to be paying a lot of money. One of these two teams is going to be paying hundreds of millions of dollars to be fielding a roster that lost in the first round. And if you're either of the owners of these teams, you do not want to be the one in that position. So one of these teams, that they lose this game, this series, you might see some big changes to that squad in this offseason. I see this as a must-win series for both teams. For Minnesota, Minnesota had the best defense in the NBA regular season. They only allowed 108.4 points per game on average. But Downs has missed 18 games, which could be, an issue. Gobert is your DPOY favorite, and he is averaging 13 rebounds this season. Now for Phoenix, Minnesota is all about that defense. They can stop threes. They can stop you from getting into the paint, but Phoenix, all their best players can score off the dribble. Booker, Durant, Beal, they're guys that can score off the dribble, which makes defending them a little bit harder. But also they can score mid-range, so Minnesota is really good at locking down the around the basket. They're good at locking down the perimeter. They make you settle for that mid-range shot. But Phoenix has a lot of guys who are really good at making those mid-range shots. But they also have guys they're above average from deep. And then Grayson Allen is shooting 45% from three-pointers this season. So you cannot double. KD is going to try to draw a double team, or either Nasrid or Jaden McDaniels are going to have to defend him one-on-one. If you double him, then that ball's going out to Grayson Allen. He's making that three almost half the time. I don't know, I feel like, Minnesota, obviously, they've had a great season. They've earned the seeding that they have, and I think in my heart, my heart says Minnesota, but I'm just looking at it, and I'm like, I think that Phoenix is going to take this. I'm not going to bet against, in the NBA, it's a star-driven league, it's a star-driven playoffs, and I think Phoenix has the better star players here. So I'm going to take Phoenix in 7. I think there's going to be some, good defensive nights where Phoenix can't buy a bucket, Minnesota's winning. Edwards is probably going to go off for a game and just single-handedly win it. But I think in 7 I'll take Phoenix. And now for our final matchup, we have the Denver Nuggets versus the Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers who got in the last 3 seasons in a row out of the play-in tournament, which is crazy. In the last 10 games, Denver is 6-4. The Los Angeles Lakers are 7-3. Denver is 8-0 against the Lakers in their 8 most recent matchups, including the postseason. Jokic is the MVP favorite against the Los Angeles Lakers. Jokic is averaging 29 points, 12 assists, 9 rebounds. Denver has a week of rest, but now on the downside you have Braun and Watson replacing some veteran players who were very important for Denver in the last postseason. And those guys have been good. Braun and Watson in this regular season. But as we know, the playoffs are completely different animals, especially when you're going against a team with as much playoff experience as this Los Angeles Lakers team has. And the Los Angeles Lakers, going from them, they improved from last season when they matched up against the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference Final. And if you look back at that season, the biggest loss that the Lakers had across that series was an 8-point loss. That was their largest margin of loss. And this is an improved roster for Los Angeles. So you're like, okay, well, if they were playing close competitive games, maybe that little bit of a difference is enough to make up for it. And then it's going to be interesting to see how you do the Anthony Davis, Rui Hachimura combo and Nikola Jokic, how they decide to defend him there. That said, I do think Denver takes this one, but I think it's going to be more competitive than last season. I'll take the Denver Nuggets in 6 games, winning the series. And now I move to the Eastern Conference. Starting with the Boston Celtics versus the Miami Heat. I feel like this matchup has happened like 3 or 4 times. Right? Like, hasn't this matchup happened every season for us 3 or 4 seasons in the playoffs? In their last 10 games, the Boston Celtics are 7-3. The Miami Heat are 6-4. And for Boston, I said that Porzingis is going to need to be good from deep in the series to draw Bam Adebayo out, to open up lanes, open up the middle of the court for their other players. I think Porzingis is really going to step up in this series, with Bam Adebayo being the best player on the court for the Miami Heat with Jimmy Butler out. Boston swept the Heat in the regular season, and they are top 2 on both offense and defense across the entire NBA. And it has to be said, the Boston Celtics are completely healthy. The Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler is going to miss. He's out indefinitely with an MCL injury that he sustained in the first play-in game. Terry Rozier is injured. I think that Rozier is expected to play from what I've seen, but he is injured. But with the Heat, they are often giant killers. They frequently punch above their weight. They frequently win series when they're the underdogs, which they are definitely the underdogs in this series. But Miami is coming off of no rest coming into this series. They played 2 play-in games. For me, this is all Boston. If Jimmy Butler was here, I might say, maybe the Heat have a chance, because it's really Jimmy Butler's mentality that turns the Miami Heat into giant killers. But at this point, they're such a ragtag group. I'll take the Boston Celtics in 5 games. 5 games. I think Miami probably wins one at home. The Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Orlando Magic. In the last 10 games, the Cleveland Cavaliers are 4-6, and the Orlando Magic are 5-5. So, very similar records there. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell is coming back from injury. He missed a handful of games down the stretch. It has to be said that Darius Garland has averaged 27 points, 8 assists against the Orlando Magic. I think Donovan Mitchell is probably the best player in this series. It's close between him and Banchero, but I think Mitchell has proven more to this point in his career. But again, coming back from the injury, how close to 100% is Donovan Mitchell going to be? Also, I think it's like basically all but confirmed at this point that Donovan Mitchell wants to be on a different team next season. So we'll see how that plays out. Also, it has to be said that Evan Mobley has struggled against Banchero and players kind of in the same build as Banchero, those bigger, more athletic fours. Mobley really struggles against those guys. And on the Orlando Magic side, Banchero has definitely taken the leap. You know, he had a good rookie season, obviously, but he's been even better in his sophomore campaign. They're a great perimeter defense team at the guard position, especially if Suggs, Cole Anthony, Gary Harris. I think this is going to be probably pretty competitive, but give me the Orlando Magic in 6 games. Milwaukee Bucks versus the Indiana Pacers. In the last 10 games, the Milwaukee Bucks are 3-7, and the Pacers are 7-3, literally inverse records of each other. Now, this is the kicker for the Bucks. Giannis. It was reported Giannis is going to be out 2 to 3 weeks with an injury. I expect him to come back round 1 just because of how Giannis is. But I don't think he'll be ready to go until like game 3 or game 4 even. And then on top of that, Dame has some lingering groin injury issues. And in games that Giannis did not play against the Indiana Pacers this season, I looked it up. While Giannis was sitting, the Bucks have been outscored by 39 points by the Pacers when Giannis sits. Now Patrick Beverley is in the starting lineup now to match up against Halliburton, so you have a bit of a better defensive option there potentially to try to shut him down. But, you know, neither Dame nor Halliburton are really known for their great defense. They're going to be trying to get those switches quite a bit. Yeah, and also, I mean, on the Milwaukee side, Doc Rivers has been a disaster since he got there. I criticized that hire pretty much as soon as it was announced. I don't know what they were thinking with that hire. A ridiculous own goal on their behalf. On the Indiana Pacers side, they are 4-1 this season against the Milwaukee Bucks, and that happened before they added Pascal Siakam to their roster. Like I already mentioned, Tyrese Halliburton does struggle on defense, but his scoring has come back after a bit of a mid-season slump. And I saw this stat after the All-Star break. The Indiana Pacers have had the second best bench in the entire NBA. So not only is their starting lineup good, their bench can also run up the score on you as well. And I've criticized the Milwaukee move a little bit. I thought the Dame trade from Milwaukee was not as good as a lot of people thought. In their roster, I have a lot of concerns with their roster. Give me Indiana in. I'll take the Pacers in 7 games here. And finally, this is the series I have the least amount of information knowledge on. I haven't watched much of either of these teams this season. The New York Nets versus the Philadelphia 76ers. In their last 10 games, the Knicks are 6-4 and the 76ers are 9-1. An absolutely insane streak from the 76ers there. And we're running up on kind of like unstoppable force versus immovable object because the New York Knicks are 20-3 when OG Anunoby is playing. And the Philadelphia 76ers are 31-8 with a healthy Embiid. So it's kind of like, okay, which one's gonna give here, right? Julius Randle is out this series with an injury. That is a big loss for the Knicks. But Jalen Brunson has 38 points and 8 assists in his last 10 games on average. And the Knicks are 3-1 this season against the 76ers, although 3 of those games Joel Embiid was not playing. And it also, Josh Hart had a great playoffs last season against the 76ers. It'll be interesting to see if he can regain that form he had last year. Like I already said, Philadelphia, they are 31-8 with Embiid healthy. He's still recovering from a meniscus, but he's likely to play, although he probably will not be at 100%. Also, this season, Tyrese Maxey is averaging 26, 6, and 4 against the New York Knicks. This one felt really, really close to 50-50 to me. Like, I almost considered a coin flip here. But I think Embiid is the best player in this series. Now, even if he's not 100%. Now, I worry that Embiid will get injured again during this season, potentially. I don't know why. I just have a feeling Embiid might get injured in this series, and that's going to completely shift things. Assuming Embiid stays healthy through this series, I'm going to say that the Philadelphia 76ers take this within 7 games. But like I said, I can just as easily see the Knicks taking this, but I'm going to go Sixers. But regardless of who wins, I think this series goes 7 games. So those are my predictions. In the West, I have the Thunder, Mavericks, Suns, and Nuggets. And in the East, I have the Celtics, Magic, Pacers, and 76ers. To me, I think that Boston and Denver are kind of the clear front runners in both their conferences. The Eastern Conference really feels like it's the Boston Celtics conference to lose. Like, if you gave me a bet, if you gave me a bet, either take the Celtics or bet the field, I might take the Celtics over the field at this point. I think they're easily the best team in the East. And like I said, they're completely healthy. I think they're the only team right now that doesn't have a player either out or dealing with an injury, like a lingering injury issue, so that's huge. And I think Denver's taken a bit of a step back from last season, but I still think Denver's the best team in the West until proven otherwise. But those are just my first round predictions, guys. Let me know what you think about these predictions. What you expect to see from your team in the playoffs, if they made the playoffs, that is. I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. And subscribe to the channel for more content just like this almost every single day. And until next time, guys.